And we're live. Well, good morning. This is Ian R. Crane and Nana Lock-On, Louise Hammond. And as you can see, neither of us are any longer guests at the Fulford Hilton. Lou, you had an eventful day, locked on for 12 and a half hours.
Yep, 12 and a half.
And the first lock-on here at Kirby Misperton. And so now you have the accolade of being involved in the first lock-on at Preston New Road and the first lock-on at Kirby Misperton.
Yep.
So you're going to get a bit of a reputation here.
Yeah, I think so, aren't I?
I think you got it already. So talk us through the day. I mean, how come a little closer to the camera. I'm going to drop it a bit so that there's a bit more of your head and shoulders in. There we go. Yeah. Oh yes, and of course you're making a fashion statement here because you're wearing the Fulford Hilton garb.
And joggers.
So I think you just get arrested so that you can get a bit of extra.
I find them very, very comfortable for some reason. I don't know why, but I do.
So talk us through the day. It was an early start.
Yeah.
And these were massive lock-ons.
They were, yeah, more massive than what I thought. It was a good day, a good start. Right through the day, wasn't too bad. Then they started to cut us out, and it went a little bit downhill from then.
Well, they couldn't cut you out, could they? They were struggling.
No, they couldn't cut us out. And I do just want to say, as someone who has done lock-ons, this was by far my hardest lock-on I've ever done, ever.
And the removal team seemed, I mean, unfortunately I missed a significant chunk of the day, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But the removal team seemed to be struggling. In fact, I've seen some of the photographs and the tools were not up to the job. And in fact, they said they were going to take a 20-minute lunch break and were away for about an hour plus.
Well, I think for me, Ian, I saw different tactics with the removal team, the cutting team yesterday. They must be new to this. Because it was just different to what I saw with the other cutting teams. They didn't look like they knew what they were doing. They were very nice and looked after us, but they didn't get through any of the lock-ons. It's the first time I have ever had a cutting team try and stand us off. So by that I mean they went away and left us. They came back. They then had the PLOs come and talk to us, and anybody that would possibly talk to us. Friends who were at the sidelines, they had them trying to persuade us to unlock, and like I say, they didn't get through any of them. I would like to have stayed on there till the end, but at 6:50 I knew that nothing was going to come onto that site yesterday. So for me, my job was done. It was done. So I did unlock. And my job was done, but by far this was the hardest.
Well, I mean, there's no shame in unlocking. I mean, in fact, the lock-ons did their job.
Yeah.
The removal team had no idea how to get through it, and in fact, obviously, they've taken the two lock-ons away, and I've no doubt they'll be going through the post-mortem with them today. But of course, no two lock-ons are ever made the same. The two that were there yesterday weren't the same.
No,
so
two are the same. But we could see them sweating, changing hats and everything when they were on the first lock-on before they got to us, and that took hours and hours for them, and still didn't get through that one. Then they came to us. They seriously, really did not want to have to go through that lock-on.
Well, and they had to give you masks because of the smoke that was coming off as they were trying to cut through.
The smoke was horrendous. But they did give us safety masks, smoke masks, goggles and the ear muffs. So that side of it wasn't too bad for us laid on the floor because we were protected. I was more concerned that people stood about with all that smoke. So yeah, it was a fantastic day. Hard lock-on. Can't wait to do it again.
Well, we also saw look, someone's down there with someone's saying, can you put your arm in this, Lou?
No, not today.
We also saw a new tactic because it has been the normal practice for the police to allow somebody to take responsibility for the welfare of the people who are locked on. This is normally a fellow protector, to make sure that the people that are locked on are comfortable, that they understand what's occurring, that they have food and water, and can help with other natural bodily functions. But yesterday they got rid of them.
Absolutely. I think welfare is one of the most important roles in lock-ons. They've got your back, they're going to look after you. And what I saw yesterday with the way Caroline was treated as a welfare, she was treated abominably. And it was the police reacted right out of proportion. There was absolutely not allowing anything in, no welfare, no LOs, nothing were coming in there.
And Caroline Haywood was one of the designated welfare support people to the lock-on crew, and she was arrested very early on. The police had barely been here for 10 minutes, tried to clear everybody away, and Caroline once again, without any respect for her, and without allowing her to retain any dignity, they unceremoniously bundled her away, and they charged her with, again, the trade union legislation, and also, I think, obstructing a police officer.
Yeah, well, I'm going to see her today to have a chat and a catch-up. But for me personally, that was the worst time on that lock-on. The way Caroline was treated by the police, she told them again and again and again that she was welfare. For us.
Well, you can clearly hear on the video people saying she's welfare, she's welfare. But I mean, what we're seeing though, and the police look as though they're starting to arrive now, but what we're seeing here is the police arrive in the morning, and it's like they've been told that they're going out against the Taliban or something of that ilk. Because I mean, it's almost like they're given the steroids and the coke, in the briefing session. And the demeanour of these guys when they arrive is frankly somewhat sinister.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, as you all know, I've been at P&R, but it got escalated at P&R. Escalated. They've come in Yorkshire, full on, intimidating, and absolutely no respect for peaceful protest. They've been briefed to come in heavy. And a scare tactic.
And the irony is that many of the local people here actually believe that it would be different here in North Yorkshire, because North Yorkshire is a civilised part of the country. Well, it is very civilised, extremely civilised, but the police here are adopting a demeanour that really is totally out of context with everything that's occurring.
Absolutely. They stamped us down right from the beginning. We've had no leeway, and this is why, for me, there's only one option on this campaign, one thing to do to stop this industry, because the police are not facilitating. We're treated like we're at a football riot. No respect, no time, nothing to warn you, and then you have the choice to move. These just come in heavy, pushing, no warning, no step fives yesterday, no nothing. And not good. It's not good.
No,
at
and
this stage.
When you were locked on with Sue Goff,
yeah, absolutely.
because we spoke with you all when you were in the lock-on situation yesterday. Oh, here comes the search crew looking for mushrooms. The autumn mushrooms. I think I'm not sure they're in season yet.
Didn't find anything yesterday, did they?
No, but anyway, well, I suppose they got to go through the motions. But anyway, we spoke to Sue Goff, and Sue Goff was locked on with you.
She was,
and Sue
it was an absolute honour.
Sue literally lives, less than a mile away from the well site.
Yeah, she does. Local retired lady. Yeah, and it was. Can I just say, Sue, it was an absolute honour, and for the last 2 hours of that lock on, you got me through that. Thank you, because I wasn't very good. I did panic a little bit, and I wasn't good, but thank you to Sue, who's never done anything like this in her life. Do you mind? Who's never done anything like this in her life. Absolutely supported me and got me through them last hours. Thank you, Sue.
And the other two people in the lock-on, Michelle and Becca, never done anything like this before. This was their first time. And, let's make it clear, it's not easy to have your arm in a tube for even 2 or 3 hours, let alone for 12 hours. And Michelle and Becca were in the tube for 10 hours.
Yep.
And then, of course, they turned their attention to you. And I think that was a bit of a tactic as well, to get the younger crew out first, and in the hope that you guys would just give up. What they didn't do was take into account the massive resolve that you and Sue have.
Yeah, absolutely. We wouldn't be moved. And the police, what they tried to do, because me and Sue are older, they left us. And then they tried to wait it out with us, which is completely different tactics for me. Never seen it before, but didn't work, and it'll never work.
And then, of course, unfortunately, I missed a significant chunk of the day because officer, I think it was 1762, Sergeant 1762, high on his coke and steroids or whatever mix it is that they give these guys in the briefing.
Seems like something,
literally decided that despite the fact I was standing behind the Harris fencing that the police had erected to create their sterile area, he decided that basically, I think we now know that he was going to arrest me because he wanted, because of the instruction, to remove the cameras. And in fact, the video footage is on YouTube. I spent some time yesterday evening taking a look at the footage, and I have to say, my absolute respect for Dr. Stephen Pears, because I didn't realise until I saw the footage that the Sergeant 1762 had actually pushed me back on top of Stephen Pears. And so when I was lying in the ditch, I must comment that I remember thinking, well, consider I'm in the ditch, I'm not very wet. Well, now I know why, because Steve was underneath me. And not only did he have me on top of him, of course, he had the two officers that were on top of me, one of whom had his knee in my chest. And after I had been taken down to the van and was locked in the room awaiting transport to York, one of the other officers came down, and he said to the officer in the van, he said, when you get him to York, you have to search him properly. He said, I didn't get the opportunity to do a full search because we just needed him out of there because of the camera. So what we're seeing here is, once again, a fundamental disregard for the police's own guidelines. And in fact, the ACPO, although the Association of Chief Police Officers no longer exists and it's been replaced by, I think it's the NPCC, I think it is now, but the guidelines of 2010 still hold, and the Freedom of Information request that was submitted a couple of years ago support this. So the police themselves acknowledged 7 years ago that the right to film the police is a fundamental right in our democracy. But it's very clear that the police here in North Yorkshire are going to do everything they possibly can to remove cameras. So that's why it's so important for people to come down and be ready to film. Everybody has, filming capability on their phones these days, or other people come down with cameras that they record footage, because we need the live streaming as well as the video footage, because one can only ask, why is it that they don't want to be filmed?
Well, I've got my own theory, and that is that because of the way the police are acting, they want to come in hard, they want to scare locals so that they don't come down here. The only way they think they can do that is by coming in hard with us protectors who have been in other places. So they want anybody that can film anything like that out of the way. They don't want it filmed and put online. So more cameras, guys. Get down here.
And funnily enough, I'm back here today. Of course, it served the purpose because I was live streaming, and of course they tried to block it off, but we have the camera poles, so we're able to get over the top. But let me tell you that we have even longer camera poles on order now. And the police are not going to stop us filming. In fact, we have to protect what remains of our freedoms in this country, which are fast evaporating. And what we see here with the policing operation, is a total riding roughshod over Articles 10 and 11 of the European Human Rights Convention.
Yeah, and I think for me yesterday, when I did the lock-on yesterday, that was obviously to stop Third Energy getting anything in here yesterday. But while I was laid there in the tube, and I was thinking about democracy and our rights not being facilitated in any way possible, and I was pleased to be on there and to be able to object to this industry. But unfortunately, that's the only way I can do it, because we're not being facilitated to do anything like that. So for me, that's the only way.
Well, today we've got the farmers against fracking, and they've got their banners out across the gates right now.
We'll see.
We'll see how long that lasts. Who knows? Maybe Third Energy are not going to bring anything in today. We now have, it seems, a 24-hour police presence. So once again, the costs of policing this operation are increasing, and as we've seen in Lancashire, we have Quadrilla bragging that they've contributed some £3 million to the local economy since January, yet the policing operation has actually cost over £5 million. So, you know, where's the economics in this?
There is none, is there? I think they're all in each other's pockets. You know, the police aren't here for us, unfortunately. I was hopeful in Yorkshire, Rydale, of course. I was hopeful that we would get some kind of rights to peacefully protest. But no, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and then stand with a banner at the side of the road. Sorry, but that is not going to stop this industry. And the police know this, and that's why they're coming in hard and trying to scare people. And
they are particularly targeting, it seems, the Jerry activists.
Yeah.
You know, and they know that these people are fine, upstanding members of the local community, but what they're trying to do is deter others from coming down, but it's actually having the opposite effect. And you know, we've had people here now actually starting to arrive from elsewhere in the country, and rightly so, because you know, this isn't any longer just the front line on fracking. This is the front line on actually trying to prevent the further descent into the corporatist police state. And, you know, I mean, I know for some people, their automatic reactions, that is, oh, that's an exaggeration. Well, you know, come down and see what's occurring. Yeah. Because under this very, very thin veneer of democracy, you know, it doesn't really exist. Democracy only exists when the local councils and the district councils and the county councils make the decision that the government wants them to make. And as we've seen here in both Lancashire, where Lancashire Council did reject Quadrilla's application, which was overturned by Saeed Javid. But here in North Yorkshire, the county councillors were told, as were the Lancashire councillors, that if they did reject Third Energy's application to frack this well site here at Kirby Misperton, then they could be sued personally. And of course, this is meant to scare the bejesus out of them, so that then they effectively make the decision under duress.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Shocking from what we've seen here for the last couple of weeks. Absolutely shocking. But it just, me personally, it inspires me to do it, to fight even harder, you know, to stop it even harder.
Well, there's a lady who comes down and her father was a senior officer in the British military in the Second World War. He was heavily decorated. And she makes the observation that her father fought to protect the liberties that we take for granted in this country, and you know, she is seeing the prima facie evidence that these civil liberties are being eroded, and of course it's also being challenged in the courts, where INEOS are trying to establish legislation, effectively, or case law, where all forms of peaceful protest and any form of dissent against their operation is effectively made illegal under civil law, so that the company could then pursue any individual that causes them any loss through delay and take them through the courts to try and effectively steal their assets. This is corporatocracy, and as the guys on UK Column correctly observed yesterday lunchtime, this is the definition of fascism. And I know that's an extremely emotive word, but fascism is effectively government by the corporations. It is corporate hegemony, where the corporations effectively set government policy by bribery and corruption and any means at their disposal. And this is what INEOS are trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, another one. If these industries are allowed to achieve what they want, then we might as well go home and start knitting, because it's finished in the UK. So we've got to stand now. We've got to make that stand. Yesterday I was very scared. You know, I might have done previous lock-ons, but I'm 54 years old. You know, it's not easy for me. But What else do we do? Do we go home and ignore this and let them do it? No, we can't. So we have to be brave. We have to come down to the gates. We have to be brave. And we have to stand up for what we want in life, our rights, and we want them back.
I think that they're beginning to realise. I mean, I am just the wrong side of 60. And I must confess that I didn't expect to spend any time in a ditch yesterday with a police officer's knee in my chest, let alone a few hours at the Fulford Hilton. But in the scheme of things, I got it right. The video footage clearly shows that the arrest was unlawful, and I am, of course, now seeking counsel about pursuing a civil claim against the officer who decided to effectively launch an unprovoked attack on me. It was an unlawful arrest.
He assaulted you.
He did assault me.
If I'd have done that to you, or if another man, not a police officer, had done that to you, he would have been arrested for assault. Now, where's the comeuppance for these police officers? When are they going to be held accountable for what they're doing? It's not right and it's not fair.
So, it is, unfortunately, it seems, left to the Jerry activists, the retirees, who actually remember what life was like when we did still enjoy a degree of freedom, or at least perceived to have more freedom, and perceived the police to be somewhat more community friendly. Now it is a paramilitary force.
Yeah, absolutely.
A paramilitary force that is on point to push through the corporate agenda. They are no longer policemen and policewomen. They are officers of corporate enforcement. And it is sadly going to be perhaps our generation that is the last generation that realises what's at stake here, and has a real attempt at trying to bring about the social change that we all know we need to see. Because what saddens me is the young people who are in the fancy dress here with the word police on their cap, and that's the only thing that effectively designates them as police. But they're just falling into this.
I remember police officers when you could have conversations with them. I remember them when they had feelings and they believed in what they were doing, and they were very helpful and they were there for the people. With the policing we're seeing at protests, they're like robots. They've been trained. There's no empathy. There's nothing, and they're not willing to look at it. Now, what are they doing to these police officers to make them act like that? What are they giving them? What are they doing to them to make them so trained, so following orders, that even when something that is morally wrong, they still follow orders? What's going on with the police force in the UK?
So as we say, I mean, Kirby Misperton is the front line now on more than just fracking. And of course, if this is pushed through here, then the industry has every intention of taking advantage of the remaining time, whatever that may be, that this minority government still holds that power to push this through, because there is no other political party in the country that supports this agenda. In fact, Theresa May, I don't believe, really supports this agenda. This is a Cameron and Osborne legacy, and Theresa May's got enough problems of her own without this, but she doesn't have the courage to pull the plug on her paymasters, particularly the oil and gas industry here. So it's all to play for, and well, you're here for the duration, I think, Lou.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going nowhere. That's why my caravan's there. I'm going nowhere until we fight this battle. I've come to do a job, and the police force can act as badly as they want to. I am going nowhere, and they don't scare me. Nothing scares me against this industry and what it can do. Can I just say as well, I did get charged yesterday. Willful obstruction of the highway, but the first thing, for the first time that I saw, was a second charge for me, and that was the trade union, that old chestnut. The trade union charge. Now, when they read out the trade union charge to me in the police station, Third Energy, and I've got it on my paperwork, Third Energy were mentioned so many times, and it wasn't about anything to do with trade union, it was about Third Energy. So, once again, police in the pockets, again, even at the charge desk. It was a shock for me because it just felt like I had a representative in front of me from Third Energy.
Now, I'm not
That's
aware
what it
of
felt like.
any law in the country that actually incorporates the words Third Energy.
No, I'm not.
So,
No.
in fact, I mean, that looks like it's, I mean, I'm sure that will be challenged in the court.
Yeah,
but if it's on a
absolutely.
charge sheet that it mentions Third Energy, where does Third Energy actually get a mention in the statute? Because that's what it is of this country.
It shocked me. You know, I mean, we're used to the Trade Union Act, you know, but for the desk sergeant to talk so much about Third Energy in this charge, then I've never heard it before. And I'd be interested if anybody else has heard it, because I haven't.
Well, and funnily enough, after just little more than 2 hours in my comfortable suite at the Fulford Hilton, I got a knock on the door to be told that I was being released and there would be no further action. Well, there may be no further action from the police side, but that doesn't mean to say that there won't be any further action from my side, because, yeah, as you rightly say, we have to hold these guys to account.
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't start this battle. My battle is not with the police. This has been forced upon me personally, from what I've seen. My battle in Yorkshire was with Third Energy, but unfortunately they've took it to another level, and now Yorkshire Police, and you will be held accountable.
So this is really the call to action, and you know, if fracking doesn't disturb you, then maybe this frontal assault on the last vestiges of democracy in this country, Articles 10 and 11 of the Human Rights Convention, which are embedded in British law. People say, oh yeah, no, but we're going to remove them when we leave Europe, and of course Theresa May has stated that she's going to introduce a Bill of Rights versus the Human Rights Act. Well, the fundamental fact of the matter is that we have rights regardless. We have unalienable common law rights, and it is up to us to exercise those rights. And if you are in any way motivated to protect some degree of democracy and sovereignty for the next generations, then maybe you need to be here with us at Kirby Misperton, or over the other side of the Pennines at Preston New Road, or down in the south at Broadford Bridge, or Lidsey, or Leith Hill. We now have a multi-front campaign here, but this is absolutely the front line. Kirby Misperton will, if Third Energy do what they intend to do, this will be the first location in which there will be a frack into unconventional geology in this country. And as we know from the research, and we encourage you to do your own research, everywhere where this industry has become established, it has led to a trail of absolute devastation. So, Lou, thank you so much for everything.
You're welcome, and thank you, everyone. As we know, it's only numbers that can do this. Numbers, we can't do it on our own. So please come along, join us, stand with us, and let's fight this industry.
Even if it's for a few hours.
Few hours.
You know, we have locals who come down for join us for breakfast, and then they go to work, and then they come back after work, and there are other people as they can. We have some young mums who come down after dropping their kids at school and then going back to pick the kids up at school. It's this constant revolving door of people, if you like, that down here that keep the numbers. Please do not leave this to a handful of cherry activists who are doing their level best to protect your and your children and your children's children's future. So we're going to go back to the gates now and join the farmers against fracking. Hopefully we'll get some live stream through the day if anything occurs. Otherwise, maybe a short update tonight, but very definitely from either myself or Lou or Eddie or any of the other people here, there will be another live stream. If not on my page, then on the Kirby Misperton Protection Camp page. And please share it, help us get the word out. And if you want to see the video of my somewhat unceremonious backward trip into a ditch here in North Yorkshire, then take a look at my YouTube channel or the YouTube channel of Dr. Stephen Pears, and you can see what it is that we have to endure. But don't let it put you off. Don't let it put you off at all, because you know we have to stop this, and we have to stop it here. So thanks very much. And don't forget, UK Column broadcasting live at 1 o'clock on www.ukcolumn/live. www.ukcolumn.org/live. Brian Gerrish and Mike Robinson bringing you an alternative view of what's going on in the world today. And thanks to Brian and Mike for, whilst I was a guest of Her Majesty's Police here, Corporate Forces rather, thanks for bringing it to the attention of the UK Column audience. And Lou, I look forward to seeing you with your arm in a tube at some future date.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you everybody. Please come join us. Have a good day and just have fun.
Thanks a lot. Catch you later.
You.